Fish are some of the strangest creatures on the planet. Some are small and cute, others are huge and downright scary, and then there are those that leave you thinking, is that even real? Here are 20 fish you won't believe actually exist. Number 20. The Asian sheep's head wrasse. While we do know the phrase, there are plenty of fish in the sea, you often have a mental picture of what a fish should look like. When you look at the Asian sheep's head wrasse, this isn't exactly it. It's not what you would picture, and it makes it so much weirder that people have caught it and even put it into aquariums for everyone to see. One can only imagine what they have to say about the fish when they come to its tank. And if you're wondering why you've never seen or likely heard about this fish, well, that would be because of its location. Native to the western Pacific Ocean, it inhabits rocky reef areas around the Korean Peninsula, China, Japan, and some islands. If you're not in that range, you're not going to see it all that often. The irony here is that despite it not being that well known by some, it's one of the biggest of the wrasse family, measuring at almost a meter in length. Plus, they're known to have quite the lifespan, with one confirmed case of an Asian sheep's head wrasse living over 30 years with a certain human diver being its caretaker. Yet, even more ironically, there's another twist in the sheep's head wrasse tale. Specifically, this is one of the more special animals in our world that has the ability to shift its gender on a whim. That's right, it's able to change its gender because it has both male and female reproductive organs. And just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder than that, when an Asian sheep's head wrasse is born, they're always female, which means that as they grow older, they gain the ability to transform into a male. And as you can imagine, that's not something you see every day. When BBC Earth was able to find this creature and record it shifting from male to female, it was quite the spectacle and special moment for science. So, what we have here is a large, weird fish that's able to change its gender, and we're only getting started with the list. Number 19. The lionfish. Despite its name, the lionfish does not resemble a lion in many ways, nor is it the king of the jungle or even underwater. I'm not even sure who that would be. Probably a shark, though. But anyway, what the lionfish does have is one of the deadliest venoms that you're going to find in the ocean. And it can inject that venom into you in a variety of ways that's going to leave you begging for mercy, even though you're not going to find any. Yes, I'm being rather dark, but it is funnier that way. And when you look at the lionfish, you may think it's a rather beautiful creature. I mean, it has a rainbow kind of pattern on its body, which may be tempting to you to have a closer look, but you have to ignore that impulse at all costs. I'm warning you for a good reason. That coloration style is actually a warning to predators not to approach it, and that's because the other thing that might have caught your eye about the fish are the spines. Those are indeed how the lionfish gets its venom into its victims. Because they're all over its body, it means that it has the ability to strike you from basically all sides, and that makes it both an offensive and defensive weapon, and that's pretty cool while also being equally terrifying. Oh, and as for that question that you're dreading to ask, their venom can cause systemic effects like pain, nausea, vomiting, fever, headache, numbness, paresthesia, diarrhea, sweating, temporary paralysis of the limbs, respiratory insufficiency, heart failure, convulsions, death. The good news is that death will be rare. It often only happens because of allergic reactions or not getting good treatment in a good amount of time. Kids are more susceptible to the venom than adults are, of course, but either way, you don't want to get poked or poke around or be poked by this lion of a fish. Number 18. The Yeti Crab. It's actually a bit surprising that I haven't talked about crabs yet, as they are something that many people see regularly, and they come in various forms which include the weird ones. In the case of the Yeti crab or the kiwa, as they are known in scientific circles, these crabs are special because they have a rather hairy look to them. When you add to that their whitish coloring, that's when you get a crab that looks like the infamous Yeti from folklore. In fact, the Yeti crab is nicknamed for its hairy pinchers, which are covered in a dense layer of hair-like bristles, and these bristles are thought to harbor bacteria which the crab may farm for food. This appearance gives them that Yeti-like shaggy look. The Yeti crab lives in total darkness and is almost entirely white, lacking any kind of functional eyeballs. It's adapted to life in the extreme deep-sea conditions, thriving at depths of over 7,000 feet below the surface. Since the discovery of the initial Yeti crab, other species of the family have been found, which includes those that have unique adaptations depending on their specific deep-sea environment. The Yeti crab is a prime example of the incredible diversity and adaptability of life within the deep ocean, and shows how organisms can survive and thrive in places that humans could barely ever reach. Another thing that adds to the Yeti comparison is that the crabs live in some of the coldest areas of the world, and they keep themselves warm by going to hydrothermal vents. So yes, these crabs do thrive in the most extreme of conditions. Number 17. The anglerfish. Terror comes in all shapes and sizes. That's just a fact of life. And when it comes to the anglerfish, you could argue that it's one of the biggest monsters you're going to find in the depths of the ocean. Not because it eats any kind of people on the regular or it's the biggest predator around, because it's certainly not. They're usually quite small, with the biggest among them growing to be about a meter in length. What does separate them from others is how they lure in their prey to feed on, and the terrifying elements of their biology that will freak out just about anyone. The biggest thing that makes them scary is what many people will recognize from films like Finding Nemo. Many anglerfish live in the midnight zone, which means that they have no natural light to look around with. The anglerfish makes up for that by having a protrusion that comes off the top of its head and actually glows in the dark. The fish of the midnight zone are naturally drawn to that light, and when they go to investigate and see exactly what it is, that's when they get consumed by this fish. It's mean, and it's also effective. The anglerfish is incredibly freaky when it comes to reproduction. That's because the female anglerfish are the ones that grow to a meter in length, while the males don't even get to a fraction of that. And so, when the time comes to mate, they literally fuse their bodies together. That's right, two literally become one in this case, and that is absolutely disgusting no matter how you look at it. This is the definition of terror. It's not being the biggest or the baddest creature around. It's the ones that you never see coming, and the more you learn about them, the more you'll wish you hadn't. Number 16. The piranha. It's actually a good thing I'm talking about piranhas, because there are plenty of myths and legends about these fish that need to be dispelled. For example, if you recall a set of B-grade horror movies about these fish, they do not go after humans like that, they never have, and they certainly are not going to be able to consume an entire person in seconds flat. That's just not what piranhas do, and they've never done that before. In fact, one of the things that may surprise you the most about this fish is that they are technically omnivores, meaning that they're going to eat meat, plants, seeds, or just about anything else that they feel up to digesting. There are even those on the spectrum that eat nothing but meat, like the red-bellied piranha, and then the ones that prefer not to eat meat at all. Now, their bite power is not exactly to be underestimated. The black piranha is said to have one of the most powerful bites in all of the vertebrate lines. That's what can make them so dangerous when they're swimming in groups and going after their prey. However, humans are not prey to piranhas. Oftentimes, an attack by a piranha on a human is because of extreme situations, such as that piranha not exactly having enough food recently or being provoked by splashing children around in the water, and there may be bait there in the water because of the fishing that's going on. Have piranhas killed people in the past? Well, yes, they have, but it was again in extreme circumstances that were far from normal. If you're in the Amazon River basin, you'd likely know that piranhas are near you, and you don't have to fear them unless you make a stupid move. Now it's time for today's topic. Fish are honestly some of the weirdest creatures on Earth. Some are tiny and adorable, others are massive and terrifying, and then there are the ones that just make you go, what even is that? Here are 20 fish you won't believe actually exist. In May 2025, drone footage taken off the coast of Niigata, Japan, a region famed for its ornamental koi breeding, sparked worldwide buzz when it captured what appears to be a massive koi fish being secretly transferred aboard a commercial fishing vessel. The footage shows the fish, estimated to be over 20 feet long, being lifted with industrial nets and surrounded by uniformed crew members wearing blue safety gear. The vessel remained in a restricted coastal zone typically off-limits to the public. Locals say the area is home to some of Japan's oldest koi bloodlines, protected for centuries by elite breeders. But this fish was unlike anything anyone had seen, its red and black splotched scales shimmering like polished armor, and its sheer size dwarfing the crew standing beside it. Speculation quickly spread online. Was this a result of experimental breeding, a genetic mutation, or something ancient resurfacing? Government officials refused to comment when questioned about the vessel and its cargo. The drone footage has since gone viral, with many demanding transparency from breeding authorities. Some say the koi was moved to a classified inland facility. Others believe it wasn't a koi at all, just something that looked like one, until it moved. Number 15. The frilled shark. I'll end on a bit of a lighter note, mainly because I think that you've earned it after bearing with me for this long. The frilled shark is the second living fossil that I just mentioned. And the reason that this one is so shocking is because it honestly doesn't even look like a shark at all. In fact, many would note that it resembles more of an eel than anything else. The reason for this is simply due to its age. It's a species that's been alive for many millions of years, which includes potentially hundreds of millions of years. That's why it has more of a sleek body than others that are like it. It has fins in the wrong places, unlike other beings that call themselves a shark. It's interesting to see the shark of the past compared to the ones of today and see just how different they can be. Well, that's all from the stories that fishermen have, highlighting the many weird and unusual fish they've caught over the years. Which of these fish did you think was the most unbelievable? Number 14. The blobfish. Have a look at this fish and tell me what you think about it. I mean, it's not a trick question of some kind. I'm honestly wondering what exactly you think, because if you think about it, it may be one of the ugliest fish you've ever seen, and you wouldn't be alone in that thought. The catch is that it is the worst version of what is known as the blobfish. It doesn't look like this at all when you find it in the water. So then, what makes it happen to look like this later? The easiest answer is people. Humanity. You see, the blobfish in question is a deep-sea fish, and I mean that in the most literal of ways. It's a fish that lives in parts of the ocean so deep that the pressure alone would be able to kill a human, not to mention machines not prepped for those depths. So then, now imagine taking a creature that's used to living in that depth, and then taking it up through the layers of the ocean where the pressure gets even lighter and lighter. It would be like a muscle that was used to being tense 100% of the time, and then being told to relax. Then, when you look at the blobfish in its natural state, you're going to see that it does look like a standard fish. And when you take it out of those pressure-filled depths, that's when it changes before your very eyes. So long story short, people are to blame for its ugliness amongst many other things. Number 13. The red-lipped batfish. Now, I'm going to show you something that is weird on a much different side of the spectrum. As in, one that's truly weird because of what you see when you look at it. This is the red-lipped batfish, which is exactly how it's described. Absolutely weird. Now, those are indeed its actual lips, which I didn't even know that fish had lips, but there you go. What's particularly weird about this creature is the simple fact that it is not one that can truly swim. You heard that right, it's a fish that can't swim. Many batfish are like that, apparently, so it will use its body to actually walk on the ocean floor so that it can get its prey and stay safe from any predators that may be lurking around. Though curiously, not many things go after a red-lipped batfish. Maybe they don't like its lipstick. Number 12. The lamprey. As we get into the top 10 of this list, it's important to note that I'm not going to go easy on you just because we're halfway done with the video. There are plenty of terrors that are still to be shown, and one of them is the lamprey. You could easily call this one of the true monsters of the deep because it doesn't even look like a fish at all. It looks more like an underwater serpent of some sort, but it has no eyes, no jaw, and a mouth that looks like the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars, but with even more teeth. And no, Boba Fett is not lurking inside. While there are numerous types of lamprey, including ones that are filter feeders, others are more predatory in nature, and they feed by boring into the flesh of another fish, or in the rare case, marine mammals, to consume their flesh and their blood. Yes, they are truly that monstrous, and part of the reason that they can pull that off is because their mouths, which can perfectly attach themselves to a surface, and then the teeth go to work to siphon off what they need. What arguably is the most horrifying element of the lamprey is not its teeth, it's how fast they can reproduce. There are certain species of lamprey that are able to produce 100,000 eggs in one single go, and so they are not exactly the easiest things to get rid of. And even in a lab setting, they are known to be rather large in their reproductive numbers, just as a single lamprey reproduced thousands of offspring while once in a lab. Needless to say, there is no reason why anyone would want anything to do with one of these monstrous fish. Number 11. The goblin shark. As noted with the anglerfish, true terror is sometimes something that you'd never expect. And that is the perfect encapsulation of what the goblin shark is. It's one of two living fossils that I'll talk about. As I wrap up the video, it's easily one of the worst of the two in terms of the scare factor. First, it is a big shark. There's no getting around that. It's about 4 meters long at times, which makes it twice the size of a human. And secondly, it's another creature that lives in the dark depths of the ocean, while also being capable of surviving near the surface. So you could be closer to one than you may be thinking. The biggest nail in its coffin, though, is its mouth. Its mouth is straight out of the Alien franchise, as it's able to extend that mouth outside of its body in order to try and get to its prey, which is wrong on so many levels. The biggest question naturally becomes, how did it get that kind of ability? That is seriously something that no one should have, and yet it totally does. Now, we do know that it came before the xenomorphs ever existed. So did someone learn about this fish and think that they could make it even scarier? Nobody truly knows, and that may be the scariest thing of all. Number 10. Manta rays. Going to the more cool aspect of ocean creatures, we will now talk about manta rays. These are the creatures that have massive wingspans and majestically move all throughout the waters. They are also known to be very kind with humans, and they don't mind swimming with them when they come across them. Just for some context, when it comes to that almighty wingspan, you can get ones that are almost 10 meters in length from one end to the other. Yet, despite that impressive size, they are also filter feeders, and that means they are one of the more gentle species that you'll come across. Don't get them confused with the stingray though, as those are entirely different and much more dangerous. For manta rays, they are quite special, and we need to do right by them so that we don't lose them in our oceans. Number 9. The ocean sunfish. Now, I've shown you some big things on this list so far, but with the ocean sunfish, we're finding a brand new level of weird and wild. If you look at it from different angles, you're going to see a true glimpse at how misshapen it appears to be. It's tall and somewhat long but not wide, and due to the size of it, it's about 1,000 kilograms in weight at its maximum. As for its height, they can reach 3.3 meters sometimes, and that makes it one of the larger bony fish in the world, something that divers just love to come close to when they're down in the water. Ocean sunfish are native to the temperate and tropical waters of every ocean in the world, so that means that if you want to, you could probably get close enough to see one for yourself and know what they're really like. Number 8. The stonefish. It's actually pretty easy to talk about the stonefish because it is not only a fish, it is the deadliest fish in the entire world regarding its venom. That's right, forget about worrying about sharks or piranhas. You need to worry about the stonefish. Now for context, the venom in this fish is emphatically lethal to humans, and that's not even the worst part. Unlike other fish in the sea that have venom, the stonefish is known to have a natural camouflage so that it can blend in with the ocean environment like a reef. That also means that you could be near one and not even know it. Its ability to mimic the texture and color of rocks and coral is so precise that even experienced divers can mistake it for part of the seafloor. This makes it one of the most dangerous creatures to accidentally step on, especially in shallow waters where they often reside. Then, if you touch one of their venomous spines, you're going to be in trouble. The venom is able to cause massive amounts of pain and can even paralyze your body. So, if you're diving in the water and you get stung, you could actually be frozen there as the venom continues to surge around in your body, eventually taking you off of this planet. Number 7. The pyra. What surprises me the most sometimes is that there really are small fish that like to pack a big bite. Evolution is more than willing to give them exactly what they need for whatever weird reason. Furthermore, many of these kinds of fish actually live in the Amazon, such as with the pyra. These fish barely get to 1/3 of a meter in length, and if you look at their mouths, you're going to notice the terrifying set of teeth that stick out of its lower mouth. What's even crazier is that these teeth can grow up to 15 centimeters long, and the fish actually has special sockets in its upper jaw to accommodate them when its mouth is closed. This adaptation allows the pyra to pierce through the scales and flesh of its prey with surgical precision, making it a highly effective predator. They're often referred to as vampire fish because of their fang-like teeth, which only adds to their eerie reputation. Despite their fearsome appearance, they're surprisingly shy in the wild and tend to avoid humans unless provoked. These are meant to go for prey and kill them quickly by impairing them. What may be weird to you, though, even more, is that these fish are actually sold as aquarium fish. People clearly have faith that others are not going to get bitten by these fish while also taking care of them. Or they just want their money and don't care if they get bit. The latter option sounds a whole lot more likely. Number 6. The hagfish. If you're familiar with eels, you might know about the hagfish as they are felt to be rather similar. In fact, many refer to the hagfish as having eel skin, though they don't have the electric organs that eels have. Instead, they have a rather sticky slime that they use to smother the predator and force them to go away because that slime is inside of their gills. What's even more incredible is that a single hagfish can produce enough slime to fill a bucket in mere seconds, making it one of the most efficient defense mechanisms in the animal kingdom. This slime isn't just sticky, it's also incredibly strong, with fibers that rival spider silk in toughness, which has even caught the attention of scientists for potential industrial uses. Hagfish are also scavengers, often burrowing into the carcasses of dead sea creatures to feed from the inside out, a behavior that's both fascinating and a little unsettling. Despite their primitive appearance, they've survived for over 300 million years, earning them the nickname living fossils. And as the old adage goes, if a man cannot breathe, the man cannot fight. These are unique because while they do have a skull in their heads, they have no vertebral column of any kind. They are the only living creature in the world that doesn't, further differentiating them from their eel counterparts. Number 5. The sarcastic fringe head. It's almost poetic that we go from a potentially large fish with an equally large mouth to a small fish that likes to show off its big mouth. Meet the sarcastic fringe head, a fish that only gets to about 30 centimeters in length, but it loves to flex as though it's the biggest fish around. If you come into its territory at any point, it's going to rush at you, open up its great big mouth in an effort to intimidate you and move you and make you go back. And this fish has a serious attitude problem. What's even more fascinating is the sheer size of its mouth compared to its body, which it can flare out like a giant fan, revealing vibrant colors and patterns that make it look even more menacing. This dramatic display isn't just for show. It's a key part of their territorial disputes and a way to avoid actual physical fights when possible. Despite their aggressive nature, they're not dangerous to humans, though their boldness can be startling if you encounter one while diving. Their ability to adapt to living in discarded objects like bottles and cans is a testament to their resilience, but it's also a sad reminder of how much human waste ends up in the ocean. They tend to inhabit objects in cavities like shells, burrows, and crevices, and are also found living in man-made objects like bottles and soda cans. Not that littering in the ocean is good, mind you, and when two of these fringe heads go head-to-head in combat, they literally ram their mouths against each other until one can bite the other's head. Number 4. Pyrosomes. One could easily make the case that pyrosomes are in a league of their own when it comes to weirdness. For example, if you take a look at a pyrosome, you may think that it's one large entity, but it's not. It is instead hundreds of thousands of little entities called zooids. These zooids are like tiny clones, each one performing its role with precision, whether it's feeding, moving, or reproducing. What's even more fascinating is that they're bioluminescent, glowing softly in the dark depths of the ocean like something out of a sci-fi movie. Imagine a massive, glowing tube drifting silently through the water, powered by the synchronized efforts of countless microscopic creatures. They communicate and coordinate through water currents, a system so seamless it feels almost otherworldly. Depending on the size, they can either be extremely small or big enough to be noticed for a good distance. It all just depends on the colony itself. The fact that these colonies are able to work together to do various tasks is astonishing in my eyes. Just try and picture you and your friends doing a task together and trying to be efficient about it. Trust me, you won't be as efficient as these pyrosomes. They are a wonder of the world's waters, and it's no wonder that so many people love to study them. Number 3. Vampire squid. There are a lot of squids and octopuses that could be talked about on this list, but for now I'm going to focus on the vampire squid because it's one of the more classic ones that people just can't seem to believe actually exist. Unlike the colossal or the giant squid, the vampire squid is actually rather small by comparison. In fact, your forearm may actually be bigger than this squid. What's curious about this, though, is that despite being so small, it lives in some of the deepest and darkest parts of the ocean, even developing organs that can glow in the dark, and a unique circulation system which helps it to handle the lack of oxygen at those depths. It also has a fascinating defense mechanism where it ejects a cloud of bioluminescent mucus to confuse predators and make a quick escape. Its webbed arms, which resemble a dark cloak, can be pulled over its body to create an even more eerie and intimidating appearance. The vampire squid feeds primarily on marine snow, which is a mix of organic debris that drifts down from the upper layers of the ocean, making it a scavenger rather than a predator. Despite its ominous name and appearance, it is actually a very gentle creature that poses no threat to humans. As for why it's called the vampire squid, well, if you look at the underside of its cloak, you're going to see the vampire fangs and that they are everywhere. We should all be grateful the creature isn't bigger or else we'd all have some problems in the end. Number 2. The northern stargazer. There are many creatures that adapt to the ocean and its terrain in various ways so that it can survive, and the northern stargazer is one such example of that. As its body's shape and coloring are able to blend in with the sandy bottoms of the ocean, it buries itself almost completely in the sand, leaving only its eyes and mouth exposed, making it nearly invisible to unsuspecting prey. What's even more fascinating is that the northern stargazer has an organ capable of delivering an electric shock, which it uses to stun its prey or deter predators. This unique adaptation gives it an extra edge in the harsh underwater environment. Its ability to remain motionless for long periods also makes it a master of patience, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Then, when its prey loom overhead, it can rush out and take a big bite out of it. It is one of the many ambush predators of the deep, and it's apparently very adept at doing just that. In addition to this type of hunting prowess, it also has a rather grumpy and menacing look on its face, which makes it a strange fish indeed. Number 1. Fongtooth fish. Have you ever met someone and could just tell by their look and demeanor that they were not the nicest of people? Well, with the fongtooth fish, you get that vibe as well. This is a small fish that barely reaches 16 centimeters, and yet when you look at its head, not only is it much larger than the rest of the body, but it also has a big set of fangs that it uses to get its prey. These fangs are so large that the fish actually has special sockets in its skull to accommodate them when its mouth is closed. Despite its fearsome appearance, the fongtooth fish is not a fast swimmer and relies on ambush tactics to catch its prey. It lives in some of the deepest parts of the ocean, where food is scarce, so its terrifying teeth are a crucial adaptation for survival. Interestingly, juvenile fongtooth fish look completely different from adults, with smaller teeth and a less menacing appearance, almost like a completely different species. That's honestly just a little bit sad that it focuses so much on that instead of anything else at all. In fact, according to the BBC, the fongtooth fish have the largest teeth in the entire ocean compared to body size. How would you have reacted if one of these fish ended up on your line? Maybe you know of another strange catch that could have made this list. If so, let me know all about it in the comments below. Don't forget to check out all the other awesome content popping up on the screen, and I'll catch you next time.